My name is Captain Courage. Toastmasters, guests, members. Many years ago, I had an idea. I wanted to bring smiles on kids' faces. And I had this idea when I was a kid myself. I grew up fatherless. My role models were fictional. Superheroes, action heroes. I gravitated towards these superheroes. And I thought, one day, I'll be courageous. And I'll be selfless and I can help others. I just didn't know how. Well, years later, I began drawing characters. I began writing stories. And as I got older, I found out that there were groups of people who would actually wear costumes. And they would go and help people. Some would go into hospitals. Some would actually fight crime. They were called real-life superheroes. And some would just go to events and people would take pictures. And I thought, that is a great idea. I would like to do that. But I wasn't courageous. I just kind of kept to myself. But then I joined a ministry, a veteran-based ministry. And they said because I have veterans in my family, I could be a member. I could be a volunteer. And I thought, this is great. I could bring back my old idea of wearing a costume and helping others. Because one thing that they did is they had Christmas giveaways. They would choose a neighborhood that was impoverished and they would pass out gifts. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could just wear costumes and put a smile on children's faces? And they thought, that's a great idea. None of them wanted to do it, except me. Originally, my costume was a Power Rangers costume. And I began to modify it. And from that store-bought costume, I created this costume, Captain Courage. And I created a backstory. I created drawings and designs. And I made this. Part of Captain Courage's origin is that he was a soldier and they wanted to use him for a secret program, but they wanted to use artificial drugs, things like that. They wanted to give him artificial strength, and he said, no, I want to be natural, I want to be real, I want to use hard work and dedication. So he trained for that. And in my story, they created this gauntlet which allows him to teleport short distances, and he's able to get to places faster. So I created this. I had a 3D pen, and I just drew it out piece by piece. I added a laser, let's see if it works, to a flashlight, and this used to house an old phone. So it's a glorified phone case. Since then, my phone is outdated, it doesn't work, so I just have this as a placement. But when I would wear this costume, the kids loved it. And they would gravitate towards the phone because I had a working camera, so we would take selfies, and I would show them little videos, and they thought it was fantastic. Something that we started to do was we started to go into the hospitals. And that is something that I really wanted to do. Because there were kids there, you don't know when it was going to be their last day. You don't know how long they were going to be. But if I could encourage them, put a smile on their face, just make them happy for a day or two, then I think I'm doing good. But I also wanted something to show, to share. So I started making comics, mini comics. And started with one comic that I'll give out for free. and I give it out to anyone. Later, as I start seeing that there is money I have to spend just to have some of these things and just to make more comics, to have more to give to the kids. So I started packaging these and selling them for $5 a pack. And the other day I sold 2, and with that, I used the money just to buy my son some snacks. So, the money really helps, but I don't do it for the money. I do it to help others. That is my purpose. I don the suit, and if a kid is encouraged, then I did great. Last night I was having dinner with some friends of mine, and there was a teen that I know from my church, and we were talking about different ideas. He was asking me about comics, and I mentioned that I would like to do a Captain Courage play. He got so excited because he's known about Captain Courage, and he said, anything I can do, I'll help. I could even be Captain Courage. That is fantastic. And that's when it hit me. Sometimes I was expecting people to come up and say, you really changed my life, or you really encouraged me in this thing. That happened yesterday, but it wasn't the way I expected. Just watching this teen, his face light up, and asking me questions, and asking me the origin, asking me how I came up with it. It's like, oh, I did influence this person, and he wants to do something great. And he told me, I'm also working on a play too. And then he told me his idea. So there's creativity anywhere. You just have to have the courage to do it. Thank you, ladies.